Did you smile today? For some people, it may seem like an odd question, but for others, it's a stark reminder of something they can no longer do. Imagine waking up every morning and not being able to smile. It might sound trivial at first, but it can be a devastating reality for those who have lost their sense of happiness. Today, we want to share a story about a man who had a rare medical condition that left him unable to smile, laugh, or even cry. And when you hear how he managed to bring a smile back to his face, you'll be amazed by the power of human resilience. A man named Danny was born without an orbital bone in his face. This meant that he didn't have any eye sockets and his eyes were exposed to the outside world, which made it impossible for him to do things like smiling, crying, or even blinking. Despite this, Danny grew up leading a normal life and became a successful businessman. But he always felt different from other people and yearned for the ability to express himself like everyone else. When Danny was just 2 years old, doctors told his parents that there was nothing they could do to help him. They offered the option to remove his eyes and implanted artificial ones, but his family refused. They believed that their son was happy and didn't need anything more than what he already had. However, as Danny got older, he started to feel self-conscious about his appearance. People would stare at him and whisper behind his back, and he began avoiding going out in public. Danny's condition is extremely rare and only affects 1 in 1 million people. In fact, there are only around 30 known cases of this condition worldwide. His unique facial features were caused by a genetic mutation that occurred during fetal development. This mutation affected the bones in his face, causing them to fail to develop properly. As a result, he was born with no eye sockets, and his eyes were left exposed. Fortunately, his family was very supportive and loved him no matter what. His mother said that she never once questioned whether her son needed anything because he was perfect the way he was. But as Danny grew older, he started to want more than what his parents could give him. He wanted to fit in and be accepted by society, even if it meant changing the way he looked. When Danny turned 18, he went to see a doctor about getting surgery to fix his eye. The procedure was risky, and there was no guarantee that it would work. But Danny was willing to try anything to get a better life. After months of planning, the operation was finally scheduled, and the whole town was waiting to see if it would change Danny forever. The surgery was long and difficult, and it took several weeks for Danny to recover. When he woke up from the anesthesia, he saw that his eyes were bandaged and he couldn't see anything. The pain was unbearable, and he felt hopeless that everything would turn out fine. But as the days passed, his bandages were removed, and he could finally see the results of the surgery. For the first time in his life, Danny had eyelids that covered his eyes and protected them from the outside world. He could blink and even shed a tear. But something was wrong. Danny's eyes didn't look like his before the surgery. They were now completely white and emotionless, like those of a fish. Danny was devastated to see that he would never be able to smile or laugh again. All he wanted was to be like everyone else. But now, he looked even more different than before. His family tried to cheer him up, but Danny couldn't see beyond his own sadness. He felt like giving up on life and ending it all. One day, Danny's brother found him crying in his room and asked what was wrong. At first, Danny didn't want to tell him, but eventually he broke down and explained how he felt. His brother listened patiently and then told him that no matter what, he would always love him and support him. Danny was grateful for his brother's kindness and realized that he wasn't alone in this. As time went on, Danny started to accept his new reality. He understood that he couldn't change the way he looked, but he could choose how to react to it. He started going to therapy to help him cope with his emotions and developed a positive mindset. Despite the challenges he faced, Danny never lost sight of his goals. He was determined to succeed in life and make something of himself. He enrolled in college and studied hard, eventually landing a job in a bank. He was good at his job and quickly climbed the corporate ladder. One day, Danny's boss called him into her office and offered him a promotion that would take him to another city. It was a great opportunity for him to start a new chapter in his life, but it meant leaving behind everything and everyone he knew. Danny was hesitant, but after weighing the pros and cons, he decided to accept the offer. Upon returning to his hometown, Danny discovered that not much had changed. The streets were still the same, and many of the people he knew were still there. He felt a sense of familiarity and comfort that he hadn't felt in years. Danny decided to stay. He bought a house and started volunteering at a local charity organization. He wanted to give back to the community that had supported him growing up. Danny also reconnected with some of his old friends and made new ones. He had a blast, reminiscing about the good times and making new memories. One day, while volunteering at the charity organization, Danny met a woman named Sarah. She was beautiful and kind, and they hit it off right away. Danny fell in love with Sarah, and they started dating. She was the perfect woman for him. Not only was she beautiful, but she was also intelligent, funny, and compassionate. Danny knew that he had found a woman he wanted to spend the rest of his life with. A few months later, Danny proposed to Sarah, and she said yes. They had a beautiful wedding ceremony and exchanged vows in front of their family and friends. Danny was overjoyed to have found true love and knew that Sarah was the one. In the years that followed, Danny and Sarah's love grew stronger. They had 2 children together, a boy and a girl, and their family was complete. Danny was happy to have found his place in the world. He had a loving wife, adorable children, and a fulfilling life. He was no longer the same sad and lonely man who had left town all those years ago. Danny had learned to accept his condition and had found happiness despite his limitations. He had proven to himself that it didn't matter what you looked like on the outside, but what mattered was what was on the inside. Looking back on his journey, Danny realized that his unique appearance had shaped him into the man he was today. It had made him strong, resilient, and compassionate. He had faced adversity head-on and had come out of it with a positive attitude and a grateful heart. Danny knew that he was blessed to have been born in such a wonderful town and to have had the support of his family and friends throughout his life. He realized that it wasn't about the cards you were dealt, but how you played them that truly mattered. And so, Danny continued to live his life to the fullest, embracing every moment and cherishing his loved ones. He became a role model for others who were facing their own challenges, showing them that it was possible to find happiness even in the darkest of times.